Hi, my name is Allison Marie Reyes. I'm an actor, producer, and the CEO of Vision Ray Entertainment.
Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we have on the show the incredible, amazing, badass, the super Allison. Allison, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You're fantastic. I mean, what better way to have a cool, badass evening than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't often know if I believe it myself, but I'll take it.
Absolutely. I mean, you're killing it here. Let's face it. But anyway, now before we start with the interview, I do want to thank those who are watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And without further more, let's dig in here. Now, for those who don't know who is the incredible, amazing, badass Allison, please tell us who you are.
So, I am an actor and producer, used to be dancer at Disneyland, who now owns my own production company, Vision Ray Entertainment.
Simple.
Yeah,
And that's it. And that's it for it. No, just kidding.
that's it.
Uh, I love it. I love it. But let's go back in time and tell me where the journey began. Like, what triggered it?
You know, I grew up a dancer since I could walk, essentially. And I don't know, I think I just always loved dance is a form of storytelling, right? It's storytelling without words.
Yeah.
And that kind of sparked the beginning of everything for me. And then as I grew, I learned there were different forms of storytelling, like acting and producing and so on and so forth. And I've just been doing it ever since.
That sounds pretty cool. But tell me, so you decided to make this as a career. What were some of those first, yeah, like challenges you had? Because we all have them, right? Whenever we start something new, especially in something that the results depend 100% on us, right? So tell me, what were some of those challenges you had when you were recently starting out?
I think one of my biggest challenges when I was starting out was just the fact that I knew that not everyone believed in me.
Hmm.
And that was really hard for me because I care so much about other people that it was
Yeah.
hard to know that and to hear it. I was actually in a long-term relationship, and this person that I was with basically said to my face that he didn't believe that I could be an actor, and that hurts. So
Yeah, of course.
just to say we're not in that relationship anymore. But it does, it messes with your mind and your confidence in yourself. But I'm happy to say that I didn't listen to that, and I kept going, and I pursued my dreams, and here I am living the dream.
There
So
you
there
go. What a guy. What a guy. But it's pretty cool the fact that you didn't listen to that, because I do think that like the worst critics or the worst comments tend to come from our close ones. And of course, sometimes they don't mean it in a bad way. Sometimes they want to kind of yeah, they wish, yeah, like they wish the best for you, right? They don't want you
right.
to starve or like things like that. But I do think that if you have like the idea of becoming an actor, musician, producer, model, whatever, I would say that the best advice would be to support that person, just go with them. And if it fails along the way, just pick them up. And if that person at some point is like, you know what, I want to quit, fantastic. Let's move on to the next one. Because I do think that whenever they tell you things like you're not gonna make it, even though that the intentions are good, it hurts, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's something too about really just trusting yourself and believing in yourself. Because for me, it was like, I was hearing all these things from people that I was close to, but at the end of the day, I was like, no, I know that this is what I want to do. I know that this is what makes me happy. And I know that when I put my mind to something, I will accomplish it. Call it stubbornness or, just not giving up, but
Yeah.
I knew who I was, and I wasn't going to let that hold me back.
Yeah, and that's great. Because otherwise, if you don't do it, at some point you're gonna have regrets. At some point you're gonna be thinking about like, oh, I should have done this. Why I didn't choose that path? So it's better if you just jump and go for it. Because at the same time, I don't think you are never gonna be 100% ready for something, right? I think you will be learning along the way, basically.
Yes, everybody has to start somewhere, and I think taking that first step even though it's the scariest, is the most important. It's like going to the gym, right? The first day you go
Yeah.
to the gym, it's just so hard to even get yourself there. You feel great afterwards. And the next day you're like, oh my gosh, what
Yeah.
happened? But then
Yeah.
you keep going and it gets easier and you get stronger and you get better. Um, and it's the same thing with acting. It's just a different kind of muscle.
Yeah, and at the same time also go one step at a time, right? Because with example with the gym that you mentioned, I mean, it happened, right? That it's your first day, you try to give your 100%, and then the next day you feel destroyed, and then you don't want to go anymore, and that's it, right? Instead of taking your time, I mean, it's a process, and I do think that that the word process, it is something that it got forgotten this past few years, right? That whatever you want to do, it takes time, and why not at the same time enjoy the ride at it? I mean, if it is something you love, why not just take your time and enjoy each step each step at a time. So
Yeah, it's not about the end goal for me. It's about the journey. It's about enjoying the process. And
yeah.
I never want to be the smartest person in the room or the most talented person. And I never want to be that, because if I'm that person, that means I'm not learning, I'm not growing, I'm not I just enjoy so much that process. And so for me, it's just going to be a lifelong learning experience.
Yeah, that's the way, as much of yeah, as basically most actors have told me that it's not a race, it's a marathon. You go one step at a time. And yeah, it's you know but anyway, moving on here and focusing a little bit on your acting career first. Tell me how you prepare a character. Now, of course, that I understand that depends on the role, but like, what are your usual steps before jumping into this whole character creation process?
So for me, when I'm learning a new role for the first time, usually I love to read the script first, just once through as a regular reader.
Yeah.
And that's just to see, what is this script about? What do I like about it? What do I find cool about the character? And do I enjoy it? Because at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point? Um, but then I'll do a pass and I'll really get inside the character's point of view and see, okay, well, how does this character feel about A, B, C, D things that are happening in this script, and try to relate it to things that I've personally experienced in my life to keep it grounded and keep it real. And, you can't always do that 100% of the time, but you can find similarities in things that exist within you. And I think that's what makes you interesting as a human, as an actor, makes you different from everybody else, is your internal experiences coming through that character that you're playing.
Yeah, and you know what? I love how each actor has like their own process, that there is no an actual manual of how to create a character, right? That everyone has like their own thing. I find that, yeah, like pretty fascinating because it also shows for those who want to start acting that you don't have to choose in a specific way of how to do things. You can take pieces from people here and there, but it's important for you to create your own path, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a mistake. Well, I don't want to call it a mistake, but I think that's a choice that a lot of first time actors make is, and I'm so guilty of this too. It's like you want it so badly, right? That you feel like you have to be like, what do they want? I can be anything you want. I can be a dancer. I can be a waitress. I can be like, what do you want? What do you want? And it's not about that. Like there is no right way to do it or to perform it. And I actually was taking this workshop once, and this like pretty well-known casting director basically said, there is no right way to do this. Like there just isn't. We just want to see your version of it. And that took so much pressure off of my shoulders, because I was like, you know what, she's right. Like I've seen it in class or even on screen, depending on what it is. You see one actor do the same script and they can both be phenomenal in different ways. So at the end of the day, it really just comes down to casting their choice of
Mm,
like, what tone they want to go with, or what height their co-star is, or whatever it is. Like there's all these millions of reasons that are made for casting purposes that the actor never really gets to hear or know. And so we beat ourselves up. But at the end of the day, just do the best that you can, and
mm,
bring the most authentic version of yourself. And I think that's the best way to approach it.
absolutely. And tell me, is it any kind of role that you would refuse to play? Maybe because the type of message is something you don't believe in.
Um, I mean, I haven't really come across anything and I don't really foresee anything. I guess if the message is something that I didn't believe in, I would have a hard time and I probably wouldn't. It depends on how it's told.
Mm.
There's different perspectives for different characters and different messages behind each story. So I think if the message was something that I disagreed with, then yeah, I probably wouldn't do it.
And tell me, like when you are in this process, of character creation, you usually take your characters home, and has that ever affected you, in a negative way?
I think that's one of the harder things as an actor is to learn how to turn it off.
Mm.
I remember doing this one scene and it was just like very emotional, and it was one of those scenes that you really had to dig deep into the hurt of your soul
Mm,
to
yeah.
be able to perform. And I had a really hard time. Like I remember coming home and just like feeling sad and feeling down, and like it took talking to a few different friends to kind of get myself out of that mental, emotional headspace.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something important for actors to be aware of is, how do you separate acting from real life? And it's very
Mm.
important to find that line and know what your triggers are and know how to pull yourself out of that so you're not living that life 100% of the time.
And like how you handle, like, for example, whenever you are about to play a certain emotional scene or in a specific topic that you haven't even lived in your real life, and you need to give like the most realistic and hardcore feelings to it. So my question here is how you handle like those situations. Do you, I don't know, perhaps after you will go to therapy, or do you have like your own go-to playlist that cheer you up again? Like what is your thing?
As far as like cheering myself up after I've performed something
Yeah, yeah,
like that,
like after performing something like really deep, like a very emotional stuff.
I mean, ice cream is always great. No, it
Yeah.
is my favorite, but I think it's just trying to surround myself with things that make me happy. I mean, it's
Mm.
really just like I would in real life. I've been through those traumas, and you can either sit in them and, wallow and spiral and keep going, or you can cry it out and then take a deep breath, pick yourself up, and change your scenery. I think changing your scenery is a huge one. And reach out to friends and go do things that make you happy, that make you happy. Listen to your
Mm.
favorite music, eat your favorite food, talk to that best friend that you haven't had time to chat with in a while. And I feel like that really helps pull you in the right direction.
There you go. Okay. Okay. Now, let's say, one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, here's the thing. I don't have zero experience. So based on what you know, what do you think it would be a good place for me to start?
That's a great question. Um, I don't think there is I don't think there's a specific place to start or direction to take. Everybody's path is different.
Okay.
But I do think it's important to actually take action and do something, whether that's taking an acting, like a scene study class, improv class, a voiceover class, reading books about acting, studying filmmaking and watching movies, building communities with other actors where you can practice together, like amongst each other. Um, and I think also something that's really important that people don't really talk about is accepting the fact
Yeah.
that you excuse me, accepting the fact that you've chosen to become an actor and being confident in telling
Mm.
people that that's what you are. Because I feel like a lot of times, and I did this too when I first started acting, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm an aspiring actor. I'm just starting out, like all this stuff. And it's like, no, you're not an aspiring actor. You're an actor now. Like you've decided to have this as your life path. So own that and tell everyone, right? Because it's like at the end of the day, if I'm say a casting director or producer and somebody tells me they're an aspiring actor versus somebody being like, yeah, I'm an actor. Like which person are you going to feel more comfortable casting,
Mm. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's a really hard hurdle to jump over when you're first starting is accepting that within yourself and voicing it and being confident to other people with that.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay. All right. Now moving on here, switching topics and go straight for the producing side. Tell me, like, what are some of the things you enjoy the most about when you were, in the middle of producing a project here?
I just love seeing everyone's creativity. I think it really does take a team of people to make a film. And it's really cool to see how each piece is an equal important piece of the puzzle. And it's really neat when you get to work with really talented people and make a story come to life and see it on the big screen. I think
Mm.
that's just like one of the coolest experiences is seeing the audience react to all those moments that you worked so hard to get to screen. It's really a surreal experience.
And how you stay calm? Because I mean, I would assume that during, in the middle of the whole action, stress is at the highest. So how you stay calm?
Um, you know, for me, I don't think yes, things can get stressful, but at the end of the day, I really just trust my team and I trust myself and I know that we'll figure it out. It's like we've got too many smart, talented people on this team to not be able to figure something out. And I think it's always more important to laugh when things go wrong
Mm.
versus freaking out and stressing out. It's funny, I was just having this conversation with my boyfriend earlier, but people do react to stress different ways. And I just would so much rather laugh about things and then move forward and fix it than spend
Yeah.
an hour arguing or stressing or, whatever that is.
Yeah, that is true. That is a healthy way of looking at of looking at things. And I do agree with that in stressful situations, the best solution is to go the opposite way, because as you mentioned, if you take the stress on it, then you're gonna start argue, and that person is gonna argue as well. You're gonna just waste time of arguing of nonsense basically, and you're not gonna fix anything. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's just more fun.
yeah,
It's
that's
like
true.
the accidents happen. They're called accidents for a reason. Life happens. And it's like you can either sit there and argue about it or you can be like, hey, this happened. Cool. Let's move forward,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, as you mentioned, it happens, right? And you can't be hard with someone because at the same time, maybe that person is through a very hard moment, and you're just making feel miserable. So yeah, it's better if you just go the other way around and just enjoy the ride. I mean, at the end of the day, you're all for the same thing, which is presenting an incredible project here. So
Exactly. We're all here for the same team, the same project, the same dream. So it's better to just help each other than fight each other.
there you go. I love that. Now let's say, that for your birthday, you get I don't know, you get this magical wand in which the only thing is that you can only change one thing about the film industry. Tell me, what would it be?
Oh my goodness, that's hard. I'm like, can I pick more than one? I get three wishes, right? No.
It's a good one.
Um, there's a lot, but for safety reasons, I think I would hope that we can have shorter days. To me, it doesn't really make sense that a 12-hour day is a normal work day. I think we all have families, we all have friends, and those are to me the most important things in life.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to work, 12 to 16-hour days again and again and again and not always have the time or the rest that you need. I've worked on a lot of sets where people have had lack of sleep or quick turnarounds and they're driving and it's really not safe and I hope that the industry changes that in the future.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, we all have lives, and even though no matter how much you love, for example, producing, acting, writing, directing, at the end of the day, it's a job, and yeah, we all deserve time for ourselves, either to be with family, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, kids, or even with yourself, with your dogs or things like that. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have lives. And I do agree on that with you that that the whole that stuff should be like more human instead of treating humans as machines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's just, I think life is about balance, and it seems very unbalanced that, a 12 to 14, 16-hour day is a normal work day for hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah,
What other job is that way? None
yeah,
really that I can think of. So how come the entertainment industry is that way?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and it was like I've heard right a couple of months ago that they were this kind of what's the word in English, strikes, regarding the whole hour and the whole low pay that sometimes these because I mean we will hear it either in film or video games too, things like that they will create these incredible productions, amazing for people, but behind the scenes you start to discover that there was this whole grudge, that they were forcing people to work extra hours, no pay, and things like that, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think, it takes a lot of talent, and talent takes time to develop to make a film. And people should be paid accordingly to the work that they're putting in to make these amazing things that you see on the big screen.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and that includes everybody, even production assistants, whoever works on the film. I feel like, should be paid a fair wage.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep the team happy, the team is gonna perform 100% no matter what. So
Yep,
there you go.
exactly.
There you go. Now, moving on here, tell me, like, let's say, that one day Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Lionsgate, I mean, all of those streaming services, they come to you one day and they tell you to have this idea, which goes that they're gonna make a film in which all of the characters you have played at the moment, they're all gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. But here's the thing, the film needs a name. So how would you call it?
Oh, for a film about my birthday? Wait, what?
Yeah, a
Um,
film about your birthday with all of the characters you have played at the moment since day one, basically.
Jeez. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know, the life of Allison, the journey that has been Allison. um, yeah, I think I have to think about that one a little bit more. That's a hard one. I feel like I've lived many lives in my short amount of time on this earth. And so it includes a lot of different bits of everything. So I don't know. I have to think about that one a little more.
Sounds like a plan. I love it. Now, what about describing your whole career? But you know what? How would you describe your career on a meal?
On a meal. Well, it's kind of a toss up. I'm
Huh.
thinking like salad because of tossing. But it's just been such a mix. It would be a smorgasbord. That's how I would describe it, because it's really just been, I mean, how does one go from like dancing at Disneyland to like acting to producing? And I've like worn so many different hats behind the scenes in production. I've been the person behind the camera. I've been the first AC. I've been the audio person. I've been the costumer, the hair and makeup. Like it's just been everything.
Mm.
And now owning my own business. So I think, yeah, smorgasbord or a buffet would be the best kind of meal to describe that.
And if I want to order that experience, how should I call it?
Oh, I just say follow your heart, follow your dreams. There there was a time quite a few years ago, I guess now, but that I kind of was going through a rough time in my life,
Yeah.
and I kind of hit that rock bottom that you hear of sometimes. And I didn't realize at the time how unhappy I was.
Mm.
And it was then that I decided to put myself and my happiness first. And it seems at the time it seemed so complicated, but it's really quite simple. If you do something and it makes you happy, then do more of it. And if you do something and it makes you unhappy, then do less of it. And I started living by this motto and this other mantra of no more waiting.
Yeah.
And those two in combination have been a huge part of what's helped me live that life and lead me to where I am right now.
Okay, that's pretty inspirational. I like that. Okay. Now, like what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that we just want to quit. So, how you manage to get back up and be back on this road that you have been in, but at the same time you have built for so many years now?
Well, first of all, I think that, kind of how I was just talking about it, life is about happiness.
True.
It's like we spend so many hours of our waking hours in a day at work, right? That if you're not happy in your job, what are you doing? Because you're spending so much of your time just being unhappy. It's like a normal waking day is like what, 10, 12, 14 hours. And you're spending 8 to 9 of those hours at your job and you're unhappy. Like that's rough,
Yeah.
yeah, so just really focusing on happiness, I think, is a big key. I'm blanking on the second half. I feel like there was a second half of the question. um but yeah, I think just putting your happiness first is
Yeah.
really the important thing.
Yeah, you know, the other day I was reading this thing saying that most people die on a Monday.
Yeah.
And once I was reading, I was like, okay. And then I started to think about like, I mean, it does make sense because, you know, most people starting the week, you know, and most people in this world do things they don't like, you know, in order to survive, which is totally understandable. But at the end of the day, it's not something they enjoy, so that makes sense why they will have like a heart attack or something like on Monday due to all that stress that you will accumulate in just that that every single Monday, all that stress that you have been building, it comes again, poof, at once. So it's yeah, it's crazy, and I do think that we all come to this world for something, but of course, it's up to us to discover what is that something. And once you discover, then work on it, because like how many people will abandon their dreams or things they want to do because perhaps it is hard or they don't think they are worth it. But I do think we're all worth it to do whatever we want. So
100%. I think that's a big fear of a lot of people, no matter what industry it is. You start pursuing this thing and you're like, am I worth it? Am I good enough? Can I do it? But the thing is that everybody has those thoughts, whether they
yeah,
want to admit it or not, and to go back to answering the question that you asked, it does. Life gets hard. Like, even though I am doing things that I'm happy doing, I'm so happy that I do get to live my dreams and be an actor and all of these things. But life does get hard. Things happen. And I remember reading this quote one time, and it said, "You did not come this far just to come this far."
mm,
And there's something about that quote that has always stuck with me, because you do feel like giving up. You do get to that point where you're like, why am I even doing this anymore? Like, I can't do it anymore. But then I think, well, why did I work so hard to just stop here? You
yeah.
know? And that has been something that's really helped me keep going.
There you go. I love that. Now, what about if we had to? Yeah, if we have to put this episode on a film, right? So this film is gonna describe the episode we just did, but the film needs a name. So how should we call it?
Um, I would say, I would say, be happy and no more waiting.
Okay, because that's gonna be the title of this video. So
Yeah, no, I'm
I
down with
like
it.
it.
I know
Yeah, I
it
like
doesn't
it
make a
too.
lot of sense, but I feel like it does at the same time.
So it's be happy, no more waiting, right?
hmm
Okay, I'll
Or
take it.
maybe no more waiting to be happy.
Yeah, no
Or
more
maybe
waiting. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I love that. Now, my last question: what can we expect from you in the future? Hit it.
Everything. um, really though, everything. I'm working on a lot of different projects with my production company. We just had a showcase last weekend or the weekend before last. And it's for everyone. The reason I made my company is because I think there's a catch-22 when it comes to the entertainment industry of you either have to know someone in order to get in, or it's like, how do I get started without experience, but how do I get experience without getting a job to train me on, how to get this experience?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to create this company of mine to sort of be a home for all sorts of filmmakers that whether you have experience, whether you're just starting, whether you're an actor, whether you're a producer, whether you're a writer, whether, whatever you are, to have some sort of community and a place that you can go to learn and to grow and to really hone your skills as a storyteller, not by yourself, but with a community. And so it was so surreal to kind of see that come to fruition, a few weeks ago. But there's going to be a lot more great things, more films, more acting, more everything coming in the next few years, and more events to help support people that that want it and are go-getters and want to go get it. So just a little bit of everything, really.
I'm just gonna drop this mic because you basically drop it.
Well, thank you.
I love that. I love that. Keep doing what you do because I do find it inspirational, but also the fact that you're pursuing something that makes you happy. As cliche that it may sound, of doing what makes you happy. We all know that it's a pain in the butt. But hey, you're making it happen. You're showing results, and you have overcome so many, difficulties along the way. That I mean, it is inevitable that at some point our next conversation is going to be about the multiple thousands projects you have produced, been in here and there, make it happen. Because I do think that good things happen to those who are honest by heart. You know what I mean? Who are really doing something because it actually moves them, and they're not doing it for the wrong reasons, like money, fame, things like that. So it's amazing the fact that you are pursuing something that it is achievable, but also that you're making it happen. So that's pretty badass.
Yeah, see, no more waiting. You
No
just
more
gotta
waiting,
do
indeed.
it. Gotta
There
make
you
it
go.
happen. And it's scary because you don't always know what you're doing. I'll fully admit I don't always know what I'm doing. I'm still learning and I hope to always be learning, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna just sit and wait for it to come to me. I want to create those opportunities for not only myself, but for everyone else as well. So if y'all are bored and want to come join us on our journey, you're welcome to.
And there you have it. So that's basically much for that. Yeah, that's basically it. All of it for today. But before that, I do want to thank you so much, Allison, for making this happen. Also, I want to thank those who are watching and who stayed the whole time for this conversation. Thank you so much. Now, as I said in the beginning, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Now that you have heard this conversation, let me know what you think in the comments below. But also, on the description below, you're gonna find Allison's social media. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Allison because she's incredible here. And again, Allison, thank you. Keep killing it. Keep doing what you do, but most important, keep being this incredible badass of a woman you are, and I'll be definitely seeing you in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And right back at you. I'm going to throw that mic right back at you because you're killing it. I really love what you're doing. You're doing a lot, putting a lot of great content out there to help other actors and filmmakers, and it's really important and it's great content. So keep being a badass yourself, and we'll be badasses together, and we'll see each other in the future.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Thanks.